it becomes very important for mothers to be very careful of what they take during pregnancy in order to be able to create a very safe environment and good health for the fetus. Similarly, when the mother gives birth, put to bed as well too. What is given to the baby also matters a lot in order to also bring safety and good life to the baby. But what happens when things goes wrong and we can't explain it? Maybe it was what the mother took when she was pregnant or other way around. And this takes place for years. That becomes a big concern. And that is why we are going on a journey to the United States to meet President Trump in his speech on September 22, where he linked the use of paracetamol during pregnancy to autism. So ladies and gentlemen, join me in this journey as we move to the United States of America. First, we look at what happened in September 22. September 22, 2025, precisely, President Trump and his team gave a speech. In the speech, they expressed suspected link between the use of paracetamol during pregnancy with autism. And of course, he expressed autism to be a very serious concern. So, what exactly is all about paracetamol? Paracetamol, right? It is called paracetamol in many countries, just like my country, Nigeria. It is called paracetamol, right? In the UK, United Kingdom, it is called paracetamol. Whereas in the United States of America, it is called Tylenol, and the scientific name is acetaminophen. It is an everyday medication that you can buy over the counter, and it is used across the world. It is used to control fever. Fever itself is part of the body's defense system. It's a natural way where the body defend itself. And during pregnancy, a high fever can lead to dangerous effects for the developing baby. This is why the medical doctors always recommend the use of paracetamol to pregnant women. Why? Because it reduces fever and it keeps both the mother and the child in the woman safe. So the key lesson here is that fever carries risk during pregnancy, and paracetamol is often the safest option that the medical doctors recommend for the pregnant woman to use. Now, President Trump, in his speech, has now created a link between the use of paracetamol, right, by pregnant women, has now been linked with autism, right? So, why this? So in this session, we'll learn about what is autism. We'll look at the paracetamol usage before the speech delivered by President Trump and his team. We'll also look at President Trump's concern. We'll look at the summary of President Trump's speech. We'll look at it. Is President Trump alone in this view? We'll look at the 6 evidences presented by President Trump and his team. We'll look at the reaction of the scientific community. Are they on the same page with President Trump or not? And I will give my recommendations to the 3 bodies involved in this view. So what is it about autism? Autism is best understood as a developmental difference in neurodevelopment condition. It's just a neurodevelopmental difference, the way the brain develops. The differences in the development of the brain of person A and person B. So this might develop up to 20% and this might develop up to 90%. Right, so it's just difference in neurodevelopmental condition. So it affects how people communicate, how they interact socially, and sometimes how they behave. Autism is not a disease or illness. No, it is not a disease. It is not illness. It is just neurodevelopmental difference. Difference at which one brain develops over the other one. That is just it. It is simply a different way the brain develops, and because it is spectrum, no 2 autistic persons are the same or have exactly the same characteristics. So a person with autism is called autistic person, right? How does an autistic person behave? Autism is actually a very serious issue, which no one will actually desire for it. In any way, it is not a good experience at all. Never a good experience. Let's look at how autistic person behaves. Autism affects how a person communicates, socializes, and experiences the world around him or her. Autism can be classified into 3. It could be mild, just with occasional support. That is, the person that has autism will require occasional support in social settings. The person that has moderately rated autism, right, will require regular support both at home, in school, and in the public. And the person that has autism classified to be severe will require full care and specialized help. And one special thing about autism is that it is lifetime. There's no cure about it. It is lifetime. No solution to it. Makes it a thing of concern. Still in the world of autism, right? Let's look at social and communication differences that autistic person may actually exhibit. These are just few of those characteristics. So one, an autistic person may avoid eye contact or find it uncomfortable to talk eye to eye, right? It is not to the fact that there's no confidence, but it is just the way it is for them. An autistic person may not respond when called or seem distant. When you call an autistic person, may not even respond. It is not the fact that he or she doesn't want to respond. It is just what it is in terms of the neurodevelopmental characteristics or state. An autistic person may prefer routines or familiar faces. When they see stranger, they hide. They only relate with familiar faces. Yes, it is not the fact that it is intentional, but that is just what it is. Let's look at the behavior and interest of autistic person. One, deep interest in one topic. Yes, if they pick one topic, for example, they want to talk about train, that is where in lifetime, not that they just want to talk about it on a particular day, on a lifetime, that is what they will be interested in, just one topic. And once you introduce another topic to them, I tell you, they go blank. Now, they find changes difficult. They always prefer a routine, a particular part, one consistent thing, one consistent part. But once you change, a small change, just a small change like this can cause distress for them, and they will switch off. They may repeat words or phrases, right? They call it encholalia. Pardon me if I mispronounce that. Right, so still in the world of autism, looking at the sensory sensitivities, an autistic person may be oversensitive to sound, light, touch, or smell. Oversensitive. At times, they will even be undersensitive. Right? Some may seek sensory comfort, right? Like watching light, touching objects. They may just find comfort in it. And once you take it away, you've distorted their way of life. Everyday environments can feel overwhelming or painful. Yeah. Everyday activities can feel overwhelming. There are a lot of things we do every day because there are a lot of things, and to them, an autistic person may prefer just one thing. So when you now add other activities to it, it switches them off. So it looks overwhelming or painful for them. Emotions and behavior. They may struggle to express feelings or understand others' emotion. At times, they can't express their feelings, how they feel. They can't. So they need experts who will be able to study their characteristics and say, oh, this is how likely this is the way he feels or not. At times, they will not just express themselves. And at times, they may not understand others' emotion. It is not the fact that it's intentional. It is just what it is for them. Yeah, it's about the brain. Then, sudden changes or stress can cause meltdown or shutdown. If you put them into stress, they may go shut down. If you change their route, their routine activity, right? What they have been doing, you change it to introduce something else to them, they can go and shut down. Again, not intentional. They may have sleep or anxiety problems. At times, you see autistic person may not even like to sleep. They sleep less than the number of hours supposed to sleep in a day. At times, you have to beg the person to sleep, just put in bed. At times, some autistic person will even sleep. We prefer to sleep throughout the whole day. It is not intentional. It is not what it is about the brain. And then finally, very important, every autistic person requires patience, structure, and reassurance. And that is why they always need experts to be with them, because they require patience, structure, and reassurance. For more information, these are the sources of those characteristics about autism. So looking at all these characteristics, that is why President Trump empathetically said there is need to pay attention on autism. President Trump also talked about vaccine, the issues of vaccine to children as well too, that it is also a thing of concern. Let us look at it. So before President Trump gave the speech on September 22, 2025, right, let's check what were in place. So we look at the United States Center for Disease Control and Prevention. About the vaccine, CDC says studies have shown that there is no link between receiving vaccines and developing autism spectrum disorder, ASD. No link between vaccine and autism. Going for that, they also said no links have been found between any vaccine ingredient and autism, ASD. No link at all. All right, let's look at what was in place before President Trump's speech with regards to paracetamol. This is from the American College of Obstetricians and Gynecologists, professional body from the United States. They say acetaminophen, paracetamol, is an over-the-counter medication used for pain, fever, and headaches. The question comes up, can pregnant women take acetaminophen? They say yes, absolutely yes. Acetaminophen can be taken during pregnancy. You should talk with your gynecologist, your doctor, before taking it for pain, fever, or headache. This is with respect to pregnant women. Moving further, the same professional body says, I have heard that acetaminophen might cause problems for a fetus. Is it true? The answer is, there have been claims that acetaminophen might be linked to autism or attention deficit hyperactivity disorder in children. This has not been proven by science. Many research studies show there is no evidence that acetaminophen causes either condition. Many research studies, not all, according to what is here. Many research studies. So another question we have is, how much research has been done on acetaminophen use in pregnancy? The answer is this. Researchers have studied the use of acetaminophen during pregnancy for more than 20 years. Their research shows that this medication continues to be safe for women and fetus, baby, when used correctly. So there's even condition there, when used correctly. So which is, that could be a condition where it cannot be used correctly. Again, this is the source of that information. So before President Trump's speech, all we have is that vaccine ingredient has no link with autism. Similarly, the use of paracetamol by pregnant women has no link with autism. So now the question is, why is President Trump concerned about this? Let us look at what statistics say, and that will tell us why President Trump is concerned about this. We look at the United Kingdom. As at year 2025, in United Kingdom, it is expected that 1 out of 100 persons has autism. Next, we look at the World Health Organization statistics, which shows that 1 out of 127 persons in a country is expected to have autism, right, as at year 2025. And of course, this is expected to vary based on internal factors within the country, but the difference is not expected to be much. Going to the United States, the statistics. The first autism prevalence in the United States and Europe was conducted between 1960s and the 1970s. And the outcome of the study revealed that between 2 and 4 persons out of 10,000 children are expected to have autism. That was okay. In year 2000, a prevalence study was conducted for children that were born in 1992. And the outcome of the study revealed that 1 out of 150 children had autism. This still goes in line with the standard of World Health Organization. In year 2002, the prevalence level was sustained, 1 out of 150 children. In year 2004, it became 1 out of 125 children having autism. In year 2006, this became 1 out of 110 children. In year 2008, it became 1 out of 88 children. In year 2010, it became 1 out of 68 children. What is happening? 15 years after, in year 2025, it became 1 out of 31 children having autism in the United States. That is much. Can you visit this site for the source of this data? Right, looking at the line chart for this prevalence, the blue line represents the prevalence in the United States between year 2000 and year 2025. And the orange line represents the standard as established by World Health Organization. Now, you can see the increase from year 2000 as it increases, right, to 2025 in the United States, which as at now shows that at least 3 out of 100 children have autism in the United States. That is quite much. That is really, really of high concern. Now, something important is observed here. In year 2004, You will see intersection between the prevalence in the United States and the standard of World Health Organization. There is point of interception at that point, as at 2004. This was approximately 20 years ago that President Trump said he has been expecting this concern to have been shown. What an interception. What exactly is happening 20 years ago, revealing itself again. In general, these statistics has really shown the reason why every scientific community must be concerned about autism, and why President Trump is also concerned about the statistics of autism in the United States. I have summarized President Trump's speech here, right? I've summarized it. We'll look at it in the slides here. Now, President Trump stated that he had been waiting for 20 years for this discussion, and he believed that progress had finally been made. He described autism as horrible crisis. He claims autism rates rose from 1 out of 20,000 decades ago to 1 in 31 overall, and 1 in every 12 boys in some states in the United States as at year 2025. That is horrible. He framed the increase as a public health emergency. Truly it is. He suggested the rise was artificially induced, likely by environmental or medical factors. He said it is not natural. He argued that some groups that don't take vaccines or pills, like the Amish, have no autism, and use this as background for later recommendations on vaccines. President Trump announced that FDA, that is the Food and Drug Administration in the United States, will issue a notice to the physicians, who are the medical doctors, that using acetaminophen, right, paracetamol, in pregnancy can be associated with increased autism risk, can be associated. He encourages pregnant women to avoid Tylenol unless medically necessary, saying only extreme fever should justify the use of Tylenol or paracetamol. He repeated the line, "Don't take it," several times for emphasis. He repeated it several times. He went further to warn parents against giving Tylenol to infants after vaccination. Right, after vaccination. Look at the connection between Tylenol and vaccination. I want our research community to pay attention to this as well too. Not just Tylenol alone in isolation or vaccination in isolation. No, interaction between Tylenol and vaccination in infants is also a thing of concern as well too. He recommended for vaccines as giving vaccines separately and over long intervals rather than combining vaccine at one visit into a baby. He recommends that MMR should be administered as individual shots. He also said that delaying hepatitis B, there's need to delay hepatitis B vaccination until the age of 12, right? He expressed the concern, why are we giving hepatitis B to a baby? You should wait till the age of 12. President Trump announced that the NIH Autism Data Science Initiative will issue new research grants. That's a good news for our researchers to research into autism. So grants will be issued according to President Trump. He went further to express mistrust, very important, mistrust in medical research. Now, I quote him. He said, "I don't think they were really letting the public know what they knew." Who are those they? The research community. Mistrust, right, implying cover-ups or selective reporting with medical research. Our research community needs to look into this as well too. Transparency needs to come in. So he went further to complain that public health decisions move too slowly. I quote him. He said, "I would like to be a little bit more speedier in the process of a recommendation." You know the way President Trump will talk. Yeah, interesting. Yeah. Even further, he expressed empathy for parents, saying autism destroys families and is so terrible to see. Yeah, and it's absolutely correct. President Trump is absolutely correct. Autism, it destroys family and it is terrible. It is just terrible. Just terrible. Now, one question we will ask is, President Trump is not a medical doctor. So is he alone in this view? Absolutely no. President Trump is not alone. So who are with President Trump? Are they medical practitioners? for them to have come up with this hypothesis? Let's dive into it. I say one of those persons that was there with President Trump was Robert F. Kennedy Jr., who is currently the United States Secretary of Health and Human Services. Kennedy Jr. is the son of a senator and a former United States Attorney General, who was Robert F. Kennedy, and he is also the nephew of President John F. Kennedy of the United States. Here is he was with Mr. President on the day of the speech. All right, so definitely not just a nice person. We have this gentleman, right, who was also there, and that is Mehmet Oz. Mehmet Oz is American physician, a physician, medical professional, author, educator, and government official who is currently serving as the 17th administrator of the Centers of Medicare and Medicaid Services. As you can see, he's a medical professional. We have Jayatan Bhattacharya. Pardon me if I pronounced that wrongly. Right. So Jayatan is the American physician, scientist, and health economist. He has served as the 18th director, currently the director of National Institute of Health. He was a professor of medicine, economics, and health research policy at Stanford University until March 2025 before he came for the appointment. We also have Dorothy. Now, Dorothy is an American endocrinologist and government official who is currently serving as the United States Assistant Secretary for Health. So, Dorothy is a medical doctor. Finally, we have Professor Martin Adair Macquarie. He is a British-American surgeon, a professor, author, and medical commentator who is currently serving as the Commissioner for Food and Drugs in the United States. These are the set of people that were with President Trump. These are medical professionals. So what it means is that President Trump coming to this hypothesis means that definitely there are medical practitioners that have concern in this. So is there a need for us to be concerned as well too? Yes, there is, and we are concerned. President Trump and his team gave 6 evidences to support their hypothesis or their concern. And those evidence were precisely read out by Professor Martin Macquarie. You can see from the source here, as at October 11, 2025, right? You can see it on the White House government website, the 6 evidences. So let's look at those 6 evidences. Now, these are the 6 evidences, 1, 2, 3, 4, right? This is 3, 4, 5, and 6. So you can see the source of these evidences there. Now, I'll be concerned about the 3rd evidence presented. Now, this 3rd evidence was a speech and the outcome of the research of Professor Andre Beccarelli. Professor Andre Beccarelli is currently the dean. Is currently the dean of the faculty of the School of Public Health in Harvard University. I called Professor Andre. He said, "Colleagues and I recently conducted a rigorous review funded by a grant from the National Institute of Health in the United States of the potential risks of acetaminophen used during pregnancy." He went further to say, "We found evidence of an association between exposure of acetaminophen during pregnancy and increased incidence of neurodevelopmental disorders in children." He said association, not causation. This association, not causation. There's difference between association and causation. That something is related, right, doesn't mean the one is the cause of the other, or vice versa. They are 2 different things. So he mentioned association here. Now, moving further, the work of Professor Andre became an evidence in a legal case. Here is the abridged version of the profile of Professor Andre. He is an Italian-American epigeneticist and clinical endocrinologist, best known for his academic contributions in the field of epigenetics, mitochondriomics, and computational epigenomics, with a research focus on investigating the impact of environmental exposures on human health. Now, moving forward to the court case where Professor Andre served as a witness in the court. Based on the outcome of his research. Precisely in December 18, 2023, remember, Prof. Dean served as a witness in this court case in the United States, right? So more information about the court case is this. Now, the conclusion of that court case is this. The defendant's motions of September 19, 2023 to exclude the plaintiff's general causation, in quote, general causation expert opinions regarding autism spectrum disorder, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, and biological plausibility are granted. What is granted? The exclusion of the general causation expert opinion. That is to say, paracetamol or acetaminophen is not a causation, is not a cause of autism. That's the outcome of the court case. In fact, the Washington Post, as of September 25, 2025, had this news that research tying Tylenol to autism lost in courts. Then it won Trump's hair. Is something missing along the line? How? Where? These are some of the questions we need to ask. So, after September 22, 2025, after President Trump and his speech gave the speech, we had a lot of reactions from the scientific community. So, let's look at some of the reactions from the scientific community. We start with Nature. Nature, in September 22, 2025, in the article titled, Trump links autism and Tylenol, is there any truth to it? It went further to say, during an announcement on Monday, the US president repeatedly advised people, don't take Tylenol, but scientists say that strong evidence between the medication and autism is lacking. Strong evidence. So likely there are weak evidences in place. Right, strong evidence. ABC News gave their own news as well too, titled, highly concerning, major medical groups. Major medical groups. So what I can bring out from this, not all medical groups. Major medical groups react to Trump's claim that Tylenol is linked to autism. Several groups, that is not all groups, several groups stated that acetaminophen is safe for pregnant women. We also look at Autism Science Foundation in the United States with the article titled ASF Statements on White House Announcements on Autism. They said any association between acetaminophen and autism is based on limited, conflicting, and inconsistent science and is premature. It's premature, said Autism Science Foundation Chief Science Officer Dr. Halsia Halade. This claim risk undermining public health while also misleading families who deserve clear, factual information. For many years, RFK and President Trump have shared their belief that vaccines cause autism, but this is also not supported by the science, which has shown no relationship between vaccines and autism. What is happening? This is from Autism Science Foundation. Yet, we have medical expert groups that are speaking alongside with President Trump. What is happening? Why are we having the difference? Moving further, we also have Euronews. Euronews said no relationship. Scientists push back on Trump's claim linking Tylenol to autism. CBS News says Trump and RFK Jr. make autism announcement as Tylenol maker and medical experts push back. This was on September 22, 2025 as well too. PBS News says research doesn't show using Tylenol during pregnancy causes autism. Here are 5 things to know. The scientific community have reacted that this is not so, right? But there are some key points in the news in place. But the question comes, why are we having that gap within the research community, right? We still have the professors of medicine along with President Trump who said this is so. So why are we having that discrepancy? Is a thing of question as well to be addressed among scientists or within the scientific community. My recommendations, first, to the scientific and medical community. 1, there's need to listen and explain by addressing government and public concerns openly without dismissing them. We need to listen. Next, we need to clarify science by consistently explaining that association does not mean causation in simple language. Yeah, I've watched many news where they have said this clearly that association does not mean causation, and that is actually very, very important. We should just consistently continue to explain this. Next, we need to communicate and share research findings and uncertainties clearly. Communicate research findings clearly and honestly to maintain public trust. Because President Trump and his team, they actually expressed mistrust about the findings of a scientific community as well too. This is very, very important. My recommendations to the government of the United States: kindly present ideas as hypotheses, not a conclusion that needs to be studied, right? Not as settled conclusions. It is hypothesis. We need to investigate further on it so that we have clear evidences towards making clear conclusion on that. Next, kindly reform science by advocating for stronger safety testing, not rejection of existing medical tools. So the previous conclusions that have been reached by the scientific community doesn't mean that they are wrong, right? Doesn't mean they are wrong, but at that particular time, they were right, right? So, and that is why we continue to do more research to get more insights, get more knowledge about our life, our environment, our domain, and common ground between the political body and the scientific community is very, very important. Why? We need progress. We need to establish progressive paths on the way forward. So, on the way forward, let us work together on independent and data-driven solution to autism. That is the evidence-based solution that we need towards having a lasting solution towards autism. Next, science, government, and citizens must collaborate to discover the root cause of autism and protect the people. We have to show empathy. It is very, very important. And it is good to mention that this citizen, we have the industries as well too. In conclusion, this conversation between the scientific community, the political community, and the industry, in fact, including the community, the citizen as well too, should not be about who wins the argument. Nobody wins. It's not about who will win the argument. Rather, it should be about how we can all move closer to the truth, protect mothers and children and families, and support families already living with autism. We should know that progress comes when evidence meets empathy. With this, we have come to the end of today's session. So, what do you think about autism? What do you think about what President Trump has said? President Trump and his team, what do you think about what they have said? And what do you think about the reaction of the scientific community? What other ways do we have for way forward? Put this in the comment section below. Let the discussion continue. It's all about finding solution to autism such that with empathy, we can continue to live as brothers and sisters. Again, this is not limited to just United States. It is also a concern to other countries around the world because autism is not limited to United States. Thank you for listening to this session to this point in time. Please endeavor to share this video, right? Subscribe to this channel to encourage subsequent production. And give thumb, like it. Till I meet you in the next production, always be happy. Keep yourself happy and let's keep our environment safe always. Bye for now.